There is a risk that the full scope of the project will not be delivered by the August deadline because there have been delays in the script writing element of the project, the impact of which would be a delay in completion of the project and to the realization of financial benefits by approximately 1 month. And now there is an element of doubt about whether I'll be able to deliver all of that scope by the target date. Hi, I'm Stuart Taylor, and today I'm going to show you how to write a project risk. And by coincidence, I have found a risk for my project, so we can kind of work together on this. Just so you know, the risk register template that I'm going to be using today is freely available to you. There is a link in the description. Download it if that's what you want to use. A few months ago, I started my project with incredible optimism that I was going to deliver 3 project management digital courses by the end of August. Despite not having any experience with creating digital courses before, you begin to guess what the nature of my risk is. Sure enough, life has happened, things have changed, and now there is an element of doubt about whether I'll be able to deliver all of that scope by the target date. Anyway, rather than bore you with the details, I'm just going to write the risk, and if I write a good risk, you'll understand the situation, right? Firstly, I've given the risk a meaningful name: uncertainty of achieving scope by August deadline. When you share your risks, especially in a corporate environment, you never really know which parts are going to be taken away and reported elsewhere. So when you have an option to put something like a risk name in there, it's a good idea to make sure that it's meaningful and to the point. So if ever it gets moved up to somebody else in the organization, they can tell at a glance exactly what the problem is and what's worrying you. Anybody who's worked with me knows that I'm a stickler for a risk description structure that I picked up whilst I was working at the Royal Bank of Scotland. And it goes like this: there is a risk that, explain the uncertainty, because, explain the circumstances, and the impact is, and explain what the impact is, ideally in a measurable and specific way. There is a risk that the full scope of the project will not be delivered by the August deadline because there have been delays in the script writing element of the project, the impact of which would be a delay in completion of the project and to the realization of financial benefits by approximately 1 month. Basically, life got in the way, and I fully anticipated that it would. My priority is my family life, my work life, my creator life, and occasionally getting a little bit of exercise. I certainly don't want to neglect my family. I don't want to jeopardize my job. I don't want to risk my health. So if anything is going to slip, it's going to be this project. And I knew that going in. So when I wrote my project plan, I filled it with lots of slack. I also made elements of the plan quite fluid in a way. There are many tasks that can be rearranged and the order changed around them without necessarily impacting the end date of the project. The crux of the matter though is I haven't had time yet to write the scripts, and they should have been completed by now. What I've done instead is I've used the time I'm commuting into the office to learn more about the teaching platform, which is something I wanted to do later on in the project. So there's a risk here, for sure, I'm not denying that. But I don't absolutely believe that the target date can't be achieved. That said, I wouldn't be the world's first overly optimistic project manager, would I? So let's get back to the risk and put some more details in there and see if we can get to a place of more certainty. By the way, I hope you're enjoying this video and I hope you're getting something from it. I'm delivering this project in real time and I'm documenting it here for you in real time so that you can follow this journey with me. And if it is a journey you want to follow and you want to see what happens next on the project, then make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of the future videos. I've put myself as the risk owner because I am the most suitable person to manage the risk. Pretty easy one, as I'm the only person on the project. But in your project that may not be the case. You might have a subject matter expert or a team member who can manage this risk better than you. If so, make them the owner. Don't just chuck the risk at them though. Consult with them, get them on board. Pre-mitigation impact. Okay, so looking back at what I've just said, there is approximately a 1 month delay on the realization of benefits. I would not say that would be catastrophic. I would not say it's significant. I'll be generous and say it's moderate. So for the pre-mitigation impact, which is the impact before I do anything with this risk, I'm putting it down as a 3 for moderate. The pre-mitigation likelihood, which again is the likelihood before I even noticed this risk existed, and it would be the likelihood if I did nothing with it, is quite high. It's not 100% because I don't believe that it's certain, but it's very high. So I'm going to say it is in the 81 to 99% likely. So that gives it a score of 5, which means the pre-mitigation score for this risk so far is over here. It's an amber 15 on this chart. You may have different heat maps and scoring methods at your organization, or you may not have any at all. This is just based on this template though. I feel that an amber 15 is about the right score for this risk. Yes, I would feel it would be a little bit of a failure if I didn't deliver the 3 digital courses by the end of August, but so what? Lives don't depend on it. People aren't going to lose their jobs over it. The worst that'll happen is it'll be a little bit late. The financial benefits that will come from that will be a little bit delayed. Not that I'm exactly expecting huge financial benefits on this project. It will impact a little bit on my plans where I intended to write a book in the later part of the year, but to be honest, that's it. Okay, so we've got the current scores and the post-mitigation target scores on here. I'm not going to alter these yet. I'm going to come back to them in a little bit. First, I'm going to choose the risk response, which is reduce. I don't think there's anything I can really do here that will entirely avoid the risk from materializing. The best I can do is reduce the chances of it happening. Okay, here's the mitigation plan and actions. There is a list of activities to be done on here. They are numbered, and that is important. I'll explain why shortly. So the first one, number 1, update the project schedule to complete later planned tasks early. I've marked this one as complete because I have already done that. What I've done is I've skipped ahead and I've done some of the later elements of the plan earlier because I was able to just fit them in with my daily life a little bit easier. I can't begin to tell you how difficult sometimes script writing is, because you can create a good chunk of time for you to sit there and write a script and nothing will come to you. It's a truly creative process that requires time and patience. The next action on the plan is prioritize script writing for the next 2 weeks. And I'll put a target date there to have that completed by the 21st of July. You'll notice that the open actions on this list have all got target dates and they've all got owners. You've got to have a target date, otherwise these things just won't get done, and you've got to get an owner linked to it. You've got to put someone on the hook for it. Number 3, make a more flexible recording schedule. I've put a target date there for the 14th of July, and of course I'm the owner for it. A more flexible recording schedule in this case means I would hopefully be shrinking the period of time in which I'm doing recording later on in the project, so I can free up more time for script writing if I need to. What that would look like in practice though, I imagine, is I'll just do recordings for the courses as and when I can, rather than sit down and record them all in one go. The downside to that, I imagine, is the course might look a little bit jumpy at times, because one lesson will be delivered with me probably sitting here wearing a dark t-shirt, and the next one will probably be delivered with me somewhere else wearing a white shirt and a tie. I can imagine that's not really going to trouble the viewer so much, so long as they're getting value from the lessons, but it could prove to be an unwanted distraction. I'll have to give that some thought. Here's the one that I hope I don't have to do, which is number 4, deprioritize one course if necessary. After I've prioritized the script writing for 2 weeks, I'll know if there is one course that maybe isn't making progress, one that's just dragging along behind the others. If that's the case, I might have to sacrifice it, certainly in the short term, so that I can focus on the ones that are likely to get completed. I hope I won't be faced with that, but if it does, then this risk has become an issue and the scope truly won't be delivered on time. So now I'm going to enter the progress. I'm going to report the progress against each of the mitigation actions. And as you see, I put a numbered list for the mitigation actions, and that's reflected across in the progress. So line item number 1, which was update the project schedule to complete later planned tasks, completed. Line item number 2, prioritize script writing for the next 2 weeks. It's not started. Same for number 3, make a more flexible recording schedule. Same for number 4 about deprioritizing a course. The idea here is to make this as easy as possible for whoever's reading this document, whether it's you making your updates or your boss looking to see how you've progressed against each of your actions. This makes sense. You've got a numbered list on one side that says what you're going to do, and you've got a numbered list on the other side that reports on how it's going. Because I've just captured this risk, I fully expect most of the items in the progress section to say not started, but in most cases you'll need to get on with it quite quickly, and definitely pay attention to those action target dates. Risk proximity. When does the risk materialize? Well, it would be August. Workstream. Well, in your project you might have divided up the activities based on, I don't know, things that are operational, technical, HR, learning, whatever. So this is a place where you can put the name for this. I guess in my case it's creative. Operational or project risk. Not every project risk log will have something like this in here. What this is talking about is, will the impact be felt within the project, or have you identified something that's going to impact the business itself and the way that things run? In my case, this is a project risk. Escalation level refers to who does it need to get reported up to? Who needs to be aware of this? Is it just the project team needs to be aware of it? Does the sponsor and the steering committee need to know about it? Does the chief executive officer need to know that your project's about to ruin their business? I'll put project for mine. I've got nobody to escalate to. I'm all on my own. Last review date. There hasn't been a review yet, so it's not applicable. Next review date. When am I going to look at this risk and just make sure that it's on track? I'm going to put the 14th of July for this one, 1 week ahead. That's because there is an action that's due then anyway, but a week is about enough time for me to make a reasonable amount of progress. So that's a good time to review. Target completion date. If we go back to the mitigating plan and actions, we'll see that the very last action that's on there was scheduled to be completed by the 22nd of July. There's nothing after that which suggests that the risk should be managed by the 22nd of July. Keep in mind, if you work in very highly governed environments, sometimes it's not enough that you do the actions to close a risk. Sometimes you need to report to somewhere else to get permission to close down the risk as well. So you need to include that step then, and you'll also need to factor that into the target completion date. For me, it's quite simple, 22nd of July 2023. Historical progress is a column that I put in there in case of if you end up with huge amounts of content in the progress cell and it's getting unreadable. It's a nice place for you to just cut and paste the content out of, so you keep that progress cell up to date and looking fresh. At the moment I've got no notes to add. Okay, back to the risk scores. What I want to do is the post-mitigation scores first. What do I expect the risk mitigation scores to be after I've completed all of these actions? I'm not really doing anything to change the impact, so that stays at number 3. But I am trying to reduce the likelihood, which is currently at 5, based on 81 to 99% likely. Honestly, I want to get that down to 1. I want that to be as low as possible. I want to get that down to around the 20% range. So I'm going to say that is number 1. Not all organizations will ask you to do a pre-mitigation, a current and post-mitigation score. Sometimes you just get asked for one of them, sometimes you get asked for 2, but it's unusual to be asked for 3. I've included them all because I want to be helpful to you, not because I'm fixated on risk scores. Okay, so the current score. So the current impact, it's still 3, nothing's changed. Has the likelihood changed though? I have updated the project schedule. So I've already made a little bit of progress on this. So I'm going to say that's reduced from a 5 down to a 4. This leaves me with an amber score still. That's okay, but it's gone from 15 down to 12. Now all I have to do is carry out these actions, get my script writing back on track, and it'll all be fine. Anyway, keep in mind, I'm documenting this in real time. I'm sharing this with you in real time. I don't know what's going to happen next. This risk may materialize. I might not be able to manage it. In which case, expect to see a video popping up here any second saying how to write an issue.